What the fuck is language? Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. You know what we're doing, we're exploring language. We've demonstrated that you can produce physical results simply starting from words. That is where words come from, is the motion of objects. And so we are looking for our axiom. What is sensorality? Why do we censor things? What is sentience? And so on and so forth. No, not much introduction. But I wanted to start with a quick story of what the fuck is language? Like, how relevant is language? Myself, I'm a great scholar. My original language is English. My father, who's also a great scholar, his original language is English. And so I was just sitting in the kitchen the other day, and I'm going to make some food, and I blank on the word spatula, right? And so I'm literally like, hey Dad, can you pass me that thing? And he's like, oh yeah, like he hands me the spatula. And so it's like, as an English speaker, talking to another English speaker, how often is it that you guys, me personally or anybody, I mean, I'm talking in general now, but it's very apparent that, like, how relevant is learning language, right? Because we're all based on this universal experience, we all have the same experiences, we have the same literally physical form, right? So if someone's itching their neck, you know what's going on without saying a word. If they're wincing or if they're screaming, well, screaming's vocalization, but if they're wincing, or you can internalize that body language. Vicariosity is what it's called. And so I was just kind of, it's like how like, and what I'm getting at with the spatula thing is, like, functionality. How much difference does an object have to have a different function? Because that's when we put a new word on it, right? That thing is a leaf, that thing is like a leaf, it is leaf-y. But when do we go from E, like it's like this thing, to something completely different? It's some aspect of functionality, some aspect of form, right? If you encounter a random object in your day, you're going to pick it up and say, what's this in your head? But you're really going to assess the form. What is its function based off of its form? So I just wanted to point out language is not super necessary, right? A lot of some of the most, I don't even want to say emotional, but like rewarding times is when you're with somebody that, again, doesn't have to be a romantic partner, but just you can share a moment of silence. You can sit with them, you're both just being little monkeys on the rock, and you're not really vocalizing anything, and you feel very fulfilled, very satisfied, very content. So that's apparently true. So I just wanted to elicit, how relevant really is language, with everyone having the same, human beings having the same physical form, and all having the same experiences. So that was my little introduction for today. Now back to logical derivation. Right, so what is dichotomy? Right? Dimension, dichotomy. These words with di in front, clearly indicating the fundamental stability of two. So now we have this irreducibility of word. If you take any word and chop off a piece of it, if it no longer retains its same empirical meaning, it's not the same word. So we've demonstrated the irreducibility of words. Those pair to physical processes. So dichotomy, what is it? Right? It's juxtaposition. Right? We're comparing two things. Comparing can be for similarity or difference. And so, but dichotomy clearly is that prefix of that stability of two. So let's take it off. So what is cotomy? Right? Cotomy, caught. Right? Sensorality catches. A caught catch. What is cotomality? What is tomality? Dichotomy, tomality, tom. And so again, what I'm demonstrating right now, because I've demonstrated a bunch, is that the preservation is of syllables, not of the words themselves. And so you have irreducibility within a single word and irreducibility within a single sound. And a syllable more specifically, because a syllable represented by a letter, trying to be super specific, doesn't really matter. But we're just breaking down words and trying to find this past tense form of sensorality, which is already out there in the wild. We know these solutions exist. And we're trying to pair our specific solution to the form that's already used, and then it will stabilize this entire proof. And so that's just what we're doing. Sensorality is reproductionality, right? Sensorality reproduces. I would like one day to hopefully find a female that likes me and maybe do some fun stuff and create some families, or one family. but you get what I'm saying is life reproduces. Sensorality produces, right? I can make a choice today to go out and work hard, make this video for you, so you can steal it all, break every law that's ever supposed to exist, and say, well, go fuck yourself, Brad. But I'm still out here producing new information. Sensorality produces. Sensorality is legality. We've reintroduced a law series, even though we've already started a law series with my language litigation and integration series. That, again, like that generation, that series is specifically towards documenting the crimes being committed against me. The more legal series I'm doing in response to reading the Constitution by Breyer is more of a modern assessment. But like I said, I've iterated and gone through all of these different sections already. And so sensorality is legality, right? There's no laws, right? The laws of physics. There's no statute law governing a leaf. A leaf doesn't have a right versus a rock, right? So all of the concept of legality comes from life. Not surprising. Sensorality is egalitarianality, right? Legal, right? Egal, fuck France. And no particular reason, not just the super secret science team in France land. But egalitarian, right? Sensorality is egalitarian. Right? What is the purpose of legality? It's justice, it's equality. Right? An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. That is truly a historical progression of logic. But the reality is we do need to establish legality based on equality. What you do to me, I should be able to do to you, if I so choose. That is the only way to achieve justice. Egalitarianality is equality. Justice is equal, equality is just. True. Radiation glows, right? When you're looking at a light and you're seeing that radiation, right, that's glowing. Somebody has a really productive day at work and they're really excited, they're in a good mood, they're glowing, they're radiating. Right? Monologue and dialogue, right? We have epilogue and prologue, we have logarithm and algorithm, now we have monologue and dialogue, right? What are the difference in those two? I have a monologue, I wouldn't call this a monologue. A monologue, I'd say, is more scripted, but a dialogue is between two people, right? Dialogue. And so now we have, again, another emergence of log as this base being passed around like your girlfriend at a frat party. Sensorality sensates. Sensorality sensitality. Satality saturnality. What day is it? It's Friday. What day is tomorrow? Saturn Day, right? All of our days are coming from the Greek mythology people. But, and again, the logic is preserved. Attica, New York. Atticality is the opposite of basementality. The opposite of a basement is an attic. And so we name people, a lot of fundamental ontology is preserved within names, right? Like if somebody's being Frank, who the fuck is Frank, right? Frank is Kurt. Well, who's Frank and who's Kurt? But Frank is Kurt, literally, right? If you have brevity, if you're short with somebody, you're Frank, you're Kurt. Those are literally just names. And so that's always happening out there, but satality, saturnality. All right, coming from sensatality. Again, just literally exhausting every iteration of the form that sensorality could produce. Sensorality with a C is mechanicality. Change, chance. Right? Because last time we said, what is charge? It's this fundamental inherent property to mass. It's conserved. Why is the electron so much smaller than the proton? They both have internal dynamic. You can't measure that. I know it's true. Sorry, science team. But more importantly is why does the electron and the proton both carry 1 unit of charge and the size being so drastically different? Because charge is clearly conserved, mass is clearly conserved. After a little bit of thinking, our energy is conserved. Its information is not. You can produce new information. That's what we're doing. That's what anybody's doing all day, every day. Change, chance, charge, again, all words that are related, but charge doesn't change, right? And stabilize, it's inherent to mass. Charge does not change. What is the relationship of change and chance? Can't draw anything good or insightful. Chance is limited because randomness does not exist, right? How random something can be is limited because we are all physically connected, literally. Again, my movement right here, right now, it affects the motion of the planet Saturn or of Andromeda. Does it matter? Can they measure it or feel it or anything like that? No. But is it non-zero? Yes. And my microphone fell down. Stats stinks. But what is elasticity, right? With deformability, the ability to, if somebody punches me in my stomach and I go in, right, my body deforms. Did the bonds break? Did I lose any mass? No. Right, so elasticity is the ability to be deformed and return to its original state. And so what is elasticity to time? It's inversely proportional. As you get older, your skin gets saggier. Yeah, so pretty much in categorically, we can say that elasticity is inversely proportional to time in all context. Other forms of elasticity, malleability, which is typically to metal, right? Which is interesting, right? Why do we have a distinct word for the deformability of metal itself? Metallurgy, malleability, to pound a sheet of iron and make it aluminum or something. Again, I'm sure I'm fucking up something with that, but you get what I'm saying. Pliability, right? Malleability, pliability. If it's pliable, like yo bitch, she goes to Pilates, she's pliable and plowable. Oh, excuse me. It must have been somebody else. I think that was Albert Einstein. How does chirality affect orientation? Again, this chirality word, I've already solved this. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. But orientation, right, which way are you directed? Right, your magnetic field is going to be your orienter, the thing that causes you to orient somewhere. Your electrons of any system. So what we're calling magnetic fields, that's the most relevant thing. Electricity is different, charge is different. You can have, like, there's just the biggest thing from charge to electricity, which they are different, right? Maxwell unified them. No, right? We're differentiating language. The universe is growing. We already covered that universally. It is expanding, which is another thing you won't be able to measure, but it's expanding a lot slower than people think. And if it is expanding rapidly in our section, it's just because, again, think of a lava lamp with big blobs morphing around. Most of them are just doing nothing, and a couple of them are like bending really funny. And so if there's any sort of universal expansion, it's more like that. And if it's rapid and it's accelerating, which we've proven, it's because we're in one of those blob sections that's like doing that. It's changing. But how does chirality affect orientation? Chirality, flip. It's not superimposable, it's asymmetric. And it's still the most operative word, is asymmetricality is chiral. And so how does asymmetry, something not being symmetric, affect orientation? The ability to face towards the North Pole? How does geometry affect magnets and charge? Can't provide anything great to say, so moving on. How does orientation affect acceleration? And this is an easy one. If I want to run straight forward, I'm going to want to, but again, what am I going to do? I'm going to tense my body, right? If you stand still and you want to accelerate, you want to run, right? People will typically take a step back. Not typically, they instinctually do. One, is that beneficial objectively? Two, why? And again, it's something to do with this asymmetry of our geometry. To like start momentum, you start rocking, you're getting ready to form a rhythm. So you're doing something when you're like, if you're getting ready to run and you take a step back, or if you just fall forward, what one's more optimal? There's a clear answer, I don't know it, and why. But it's some sort of this asymmetry of our geometry. Because if you want to accelerate in the direction you're going to orient to the direction that you want to accelerate in, obviously. But how does asymmetricality play into all of this? Speciality is controversiality. If it's controversial, it's special. Facility, facilitate. Messed that up in my legal series. I called faculties facilities. Classic. After I said it, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sensorality facilitates. To facilitate is to help, to aid, to increase the likelihood of occurring. Ample is sufficient. Sensorality amplifies. Ample, amplify. A connection you probably not have made. But amplification, acceleration amplifies. Rhythm amplifies. Life amplifies. Sensorality is judiciality. Everybody is a judge. Everybody judges everybody. Everybody knows that, and somehow people don't think that's relevant, but it really is. Sensorality adjudicates. And I didn't say adjudicate, I said adjudicate, because we're going through all of our steps, science team, and you didn't know that was a step, but it is one. You might type that into Google like I did and say that's not a word, but it is one, because it's going to connect to something else some other time. But sensorality also adjudicates. Sensorality educates, right? I am trying to educate you, Mr. Michael DeWine, Mr. Donald J. Trump, Mr. Super Secret Intelligence Agency team. Here's the law. And fucking it up does a lot of bad things, guys. But we don't care. So I'm trying to educate you, but we don't want to listen. We can do whatever we want. We're little rebellious teenagers, and we're gonna build our super colliders and our underground bases and interact with non-human species, and no one's gonna notice. It's just gonna go away. Ha ha ha! But sensorality educates. Again, just working through our definition, I have to work through every bit of logic as to where sensorality could apply, and then the answer will literally just pop out because there'll be no other context in which to use that word. And it's very clearly defined that censorship exists when you know what I'm talking about, and we're just going to finalize it by finding probably, I think it's a dichotomistic pair where the S and the C will just flip and it'll be very clear. But then we'll reduce this whole proof. Like I said, when you build up, what we're doing is building up the logic. And then once we get to this level of generality where everybody already is functioning and you've never thought about any of these things until I pointed them out and you're already doing, it will just like go away. Like the word sensorality, it will be solidified. Like I said, that's what will give us is exactly what the operative word for sensorality is and our next axiom. But then we're right back to words have meaning, which, yep, they do. So good luck proving that wrong. But I did another again, like local proof. I don't know what you want to call them. Doesn't matter. All right. There's this ancient saying, why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 6, 7. But right, it's like the logic, the continuation of the logic is why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. Right. But why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 6, 7. And so if you don't get that, well, you're retarded. And so how does quantum field theory predict that? General relativity is not going to predict that anytime soon. And of course it hasn't and it won't. Because this is the only way to actually do complete proofs. But it's all of this logic is already contained with how you already use language right now today. I simply remind you that I am the victim of crime. Article 1, Section 8, Subsection 8 of this wonderful shithole fucking country is supposed to give me the right to progress science with my writings and my discoveries. It has destroyed my life. To whoever's watching these videos, fuck you. Please pay me some money. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.